Erica, I am happy to report that I did secure my Cowboy Carter tickets.
Woo! I'm so happy for you. I'm so excited you're gonna get to go.
I'm so excited. So now we've entered the phase of planning my outfit. Like
Oh, I can't wait. I'm so
I
excited. You
I
have to do a
cannot
reveal
wait.
for us.
Oh yeah, I will. I will certainly do a reveal. It's probably all going to be Shein's finest. Like I'm not going to
Yeah,
spend
yeah.
hundreds and hundreds of dollars on an outfit I will
Mhm.
probably wear one time.
Right,
So
yeah. No, I get that.
I don't have that many places to wear chaps or
So true. I just repurposed my chaps. I know we're only going out to dinner, but
just show up to daycare pickup in my chaps, just
I had to wear them 5 times to make it work.
to
Yeah.
make it yeah to make it worth it. So yeah, but I'm very excited. It was a bloodbath in that queue trying to get those tickets. The number of times I put a ticket into my cart only to make it to checkout and be told these tickets are gone.
Oh my
Oh my
gosh,
god,
I hate that.
I thought I was gonna have a panic attack trying to get these tickets, but
I
we
saw
got them.
people's, queue saying "Oh, you have 50,000 people ahead of you." I was like, "Oh my
Yes.
gosh, these tickets are not for the weak." This is why I
No,
didn't end up with Taylor Swift tickets either. I'm like, "I'm not even gonna try."
it's not for the weak
Not
of heart.
happening.
I saw one of my favorite creators. He was talking about how he had 38,430 people in front of him in the queue. And he was going off because he was like, I thought y'all didn't like the album. Huh?
No, for
I
real.
thought, I thought y'all
I
didn't like the album.
wait.
But I also think some of y'all lied. You said you didn't
Yeah,
love the album,
yeah.
but now she's going on tour and you
Well,
remembered, oh, but I love Beyonce
right?
concerts.
And I think also people wanna be a part of it.
They do.
They have FOMO. They're like,
They do.
"Well, that album wasn't the best, but I like all the other ones."
Right. They
Yeah.
don't want to miss a Beyonce concert because no one puts on a concert quite like Beyonce.
Yeah,
But at
they have Beyonce FOMO.
I just had I not secured my tickets, oh, I'd be in a very different mood right now. But I got them.
I was a little nervous. I'm like, "I hope she gets them."
I got them. Hello and welcome to Two Queens, Two Crowns. I am your host, KJ Miller, founder, lecturer, and content creator.
And I'm Erica Manganelli, content creator and pop culture humorist.
And today on the show, it is a Queen Things episode. So, as always, we are diving into some of your comments. I really appreciated some of the YouTube comments we got on the AOC and Hillary episode.
Oh, I'm
I'm not going
pumped.
to say it was our most watched episode, but I will say the girls who got it, okay? They really
Okay, good.
enjoyed it. So, we got some great comments there. We'll dive into those. Then we'll get into some updates. We've got some interesting updates. We've got an Amanda Seales update.
Oh, yay.
We've got a Blake Lively update. I'm sure you've been seeing.
I saw some stuff. I think she's getting sued again by somebody else, and it's like
This
it's
she's
getting almost boring at this
at this point it
point.
is. At this point it is actually getting boring, but another interview clip has
Oh, yeah, I
resurfaced.
think I did see that. Yeah, people
Yeah,
were
and
tagging me.
oh yeah, so we have to talk about that. And then of course we do have to talk about the Super Bowl. I mean, we simply
Oh, of
must.
course, of course. Oh, I'm
So,
getting fully dragged for the Super Bowl commentary, like
I actually am getting dragged for some of my Super Bowl commentary as well around
mhm.
a Mr. Travis Kelce.
Oh, yeah,
So
I think I got dragged for that one a little bit, but they went nice on me for some reason.
Oh, okay. Well,
But I had the
not
same
me.
I think we had the same take, which is
Yeah,
like,
they've
we're going for the Eagles, baby.
100%, 100% went for the
Mhm,
Eagles. So very happy that they won. But yeah,
mhm.
a little bit to talk about with the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
So
I'm pumped
yeah,
about
we've
that.
we've got some fun updates, and then as
Yeah,
always, we'll end with our parking lot. We won't be here for a long time, but we will be here for a good time, and we'll get right to it after this. Guys, before we jump into the show, I just wanted to let you know that I started a Substack. It is called KJ Off the Clock, and I am posting every single week. You can join as a free subscriber or you can join as a paid subscriber for $6 a month. It is where I am writing all about the thoughts that come into my head. The first piece that I wrote was titled White Women and Me. It kind of explores my ongoing relationship with white women and what that looks like in Trump's America. My second piece was titled The Day My Co-Founder Left Me. That one is behind a paywall. It's very deeply personal. I envision this to be a space where I will just be giving you more of my long form thoughts and the things that are sort of on my mind, whether it's pop culture, whether it's politics, whether it's business, whether it's beauty. I really am trying not to pin myself down on Substack because writing is important to me. And I want to just sort of give myself free reign to write about the topics that are interesting to me. But if that sounds in any way interesting to you, head over to Substack and subscribe to KJ Off the Clock. And with that, let's get back to the show. Okay, let's get into some of these comments. So, as a reminder, last week we spoke about AOC and Hillary. And as I said, I'm not going to call it our most watched episode, but the girls who get it, get it. And they were quite happy with our politics episode. And I wanted to read some of the comments. As usual, over on YouTube, we got longer comments, which you know I love.
Yes, I'm excited because I don't read them.
Yeah,
I
so
just wait.
so this is one from Jenna Neho 85. She said, I love this podcast. Thank you, Jenna. And she said, I agree with everything. I think one of the main things that hurt Hillary's campaign was the fact that she was attached to her husband and her husband made that scandal and she stayed with him. But I also think what hurt her the most was the fact that at the time that she became the first lady, she was, quote, too liberal under that period of time. When we compare her to somebody like AOC, there are differences not just in upbringing, but also in political views and how they move within those political views in the political spectrum that we're in now. Yet, I also believe that if it wasn't for Hillary, we wouldn't be questioning politicians right now. Not just because she wasn't afraid to do certain things that were uncommon at that time, but also because she made a lot of missteps, sadly, that led us to having the orange man as president. And so she became the unintended ammo for us to reevaluate how we view politicians.
I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Yeah, I think Jenna made a lot of good points there. I
Mhm.
particularly agree with the idea that she has become kind of unintended ammo
She has, yeah.
in a lot of ways. And I agree that definitely she made some missteps. And you know, there's another commenter who talks about this a little bit later on. But I think one of her primary missteps was playing it a bit too safe when
Mhm.
it came to Trump. And I think the Democratic Party more broadly might be in jeopardy of that right now. Like
Absolutely.
if you look at Trump and you look at the far right, and I mean, one thing that the GOP has done, which I wish they hadn't done, but they did do, they leaned all the way in to the extreme right of their party.
Yeah, they did. Mhm.
And the fact of the matter is that extreme right, even though at least once upon a time it was the minority of the party, and
Mhm.
even now, I don't know, even now, I get the sense if you were to poll Republicans, you would find
Mhm.
it is not the majority of them who agree with everything that's coming out of the far right. However, the far right is the most vocal
Yeah, I agree.
and they show up in droves. And
Mhm.
so the GOP started leaning into that. And look, it's been effective. And I do wonder if the
Mhm.
Democrats similarly need to do a better job leaning into the more progressive parts of our party. And if
Mhm.
those parts would be more vocal and more willing to show up if they felt like there really and truly was support. And
Mhm.
to Jenna's point in this comment around missteps, I do think playing it safe was one of Hillary's missteps, and I do think helped usher in this period we're in with Trump.
Yeah. I think she was always trying to keep it classy instead of going after him, like this when they go low, we go high type
Right.
situation,
Right.
and they're still trying to stick to that, and that's a huge, opinion Jack Schlossberg, the JFK's grandson, has,
Hmm.
and he was just on a podcast recently. He said something similar where, like, their online presence is so extreme and they're always looking for shock value, and the Democrats kinda have to find something like that to hit back with, and they're not.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And it's
we're failing there.
we are, and it's interesting to think about that though with regards to AOC. One of the people I follow on Substack, Caro Burke, she had posed the question: if Pete Buttigieg were to run, would you vote for him?
Mhm,
And a lot of people in the comments were saying Buttigieg is just like, you know, the next Hillary, the next Kamala. Like he's
mm,
too centrist, a bit too moderate, too much of
mm,
a
which is crazy
neoliberal
to me.
capitalist.
Mhm.
And a lot of people were saying like AOC has kind of shot herself in the foot by being too progressive. And I'm like, well, then what do you want?
Right, I know, and I get frustrated when people don't like Pete because he will literally sit down and unpack everything. Like
Mm-hmm.
he will attack disinformation every single chance he gets, but he does it in a very educated way that everyone can understand, and yet they still don't like him. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, what more do you want? He's a white man, he's educated, he speaks well, but he's gay. I think that's a big part of it for them,
Mm.
so they don't want
See,
to vote for him.
and see, I feel like I really like Pete Buttigieg. I did
Me too.
not when his first time running. What was that in
Yeah, when he ran for
2020?
president,
When he
right?
ran for president, I was not
Mhm.
a big fan. I felt like,
Yeah.
sir, who are you? You have been mayor of a town of 30 people for 8 days. Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I
relax.
agree. Yeah.
But I feel like he has really proven to be, particularly under the Biden administration, just very strong
Yeah.
politically, as you've said, very savvy, very well spoken,
Mhm.
and he's been willing, like we spoke about with AOC, he's gone on to Fox News
Yeah.
dozens of times, spoken
Mhm.
directly to Republican voters, which I do think you are going to
Needing to
need to
do.
be able to do
Mhm.
if we're going to win anything.
Totally.
So I do like Buttigieg. I see the criticism though, and people feeling like, yeah, but particularly when it comes to the economy, people feel
Mhm.
like we've seen this before.
Right.
And we need people who are going to fight for healthcare for all, who are going to fight for free higher education for all, who are going to fight for childcare, like all
Mhm.
of the more progressive issues.
Yeah.
And people don't believe that he's going to do that. And I can understand that criticism. But then
Yeah.
I look at the criticism of AOC, who is talking about all those things, and people say like,
Mhm.
oh well, she's kind of shot herself in the foot by being too liberal, too progressive. And I'm like, okay, well, we what are we supposed to do?
Yeah. And to that, I just think, and a part of it is she's a woman.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can't help but think that you don't actually want what's inside the package. It's the outside package that's upsetting you,
Yeah,
because you're getting everything you want and you're still unhappy.
yeah,
Make it make sense. And
yeah,
we're never going to have
exactly,
a perfect person, obviously.
exactly. And that's
Like
the
you're going to have to give and take.
that is the thing that
Mhm.
I think angers me the most sometimes, particularly when it comes to progressives. Like and
Mhm.
I consider myself to be a progressive. I just
Same.
also am a pragmatist.
Mhm.
So while I have very progressive views, I absolutely think we should be taxing the rich. They should, like,
Yeah,
70% of their income should be going to taxes if you make $10 billion a year or whatever it is.
for
I
sure.
absolutely think healthcare should be taken care of.
Mhm.
Childcare should be taken care of. I'm as progressive as they get. Okay.
Yeah,
However,
me too.
I'm also a pragmatist. All right. And so I feel like I can accept the fact that there has to be give and take. And sometimes it
Mhm.
just seems like there are a lot of people in the party who, if you don't 100% believe what they believe and support what they support, you're just like, persona non grata to them.
Yes, like I feel like there were even people within our own party that were not they were against Kamala and against their own rights. It's like
Mm-hmm.
crazy to watch unfold, right? And
Crazy.
because of, like, let's just say, as Gaza as the example, right? They wanted her to speak out about it and she just wasn't really speaking out about it. And they wanted her to so bad. And for that reason they're trying to rally people to vote against her. And now look where we are.
Look where we are.
Like,
Yeah.
she would have never done that.
So frustrating.
Mhm.
So frustrating.
It is.
So yeah, Jenna, I think a lot of great points there. Thank you for writing in. I want to get to another comment. This is from someone named Biscotta, uh, Biscotta-ish, I
Okay.
believe. AOC's lives are keeping me sane right now.
Mhm.
Referring to her IG lives. I
Yeah.
do feel like the Democrats have been in disarray since Trump got elected, but the new DNC chair seems promising. They need to stop with people like Schumer who are underreacting to the current situation. I
Mhm.
think part of the problem is the old guard is trying to install younger neoliberals in positions of power, like Buttigieg, rather than accepting that the younger generations who lean left are more progressive. They are trying to prevent the party from keeping up with the changes in the world. So I'm not the biggest fan of Hillary because she's been a part of that problem.
I mean, I agree with that as well. I could see that point of view totally, because they
Totally.
are catering to this old school democratic way that they've always been working,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not working anymore. Guys, we tried that. It's not working anymore. It's time to move on.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think the right now, the Republican Party right now under Trump just is, it's a different beast. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we are never going to be able to win against a different beast with the same tools, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I agree with Boscata-ish, if I'm
Yeah.
saying that
You know,
right. Like, it is time for it is time for us to approach things differently. I
mm-hmm.
think the caveat I would make is I don't think that means we have to completely dismiss everybody of the
Right.
quote unquote old guard. But
Mm-hmm.
I do think people within the quote unquote old guard are going to need to get on board with some
Yeah.
new tactics.
Right. Like, I think a great example of that is Kamala HQ. Okay, that
Mm-hmm.
TikTok account,
Yes.
I would personally argue that TikTok account did a lot of the hefty lifting
Mm-hmm.
of that campaign.
Yeah.
I mean, that rallied people from day one, from the
Mm-hmm.
moment that announcement happened. That account, it brought people in, and it was because they were doing weird, different stuff and making jokes and being silly, and that's
Mm-hmm.
what that generation wants.
Yeah. I agree.
They don't
I
want to read it in the
absolutely agree.
newspaper.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think Kamala
Mhm.
HQ did such a fantastic job on TikTok. And I think like we need more of that and in more places. I know a good friend
Yes.
of mine has been really looking at the podcast space. She works in
Hmm.
media and has been really looking at the podcast space because it does feel like, the podcast bros
Yeah.
helped really shift things towards Trump, the Joe
Hmm.
Rogans and Theo Vons and like that group of people.
Hmm.
And so, like, what's our answer to that? So, yes, I just think we need new tactics, we need new media, and we
Yeah.
don't have to throw away everybody who's a part of the Democratic establishment, but they do need to get on board with a
Yeah, they
new
need to reach
strategy.
those bros. Those
Mm-hmm.
podcast bros need to be reached. If they
Mm-hmm.
can tap into that, we'd be in a better place.
Yeah, I agree.
Mhm.
I agree. And then the last comment I just wanted to shout out is from someone named AJ6761. They say AOC is great, but Jasmine Crockett is the real
I love
star.
Jasmine Crockett.
I
Well,
love Jasmine
I
Crockett.
live in Texas, and whenever I see Jasmine Crockett, it just gives me hope because I'm like, "Oh, we have one person that represents us for real. Like,
For
we
real.
only have one, and it's
Yeah.
her."
And it's her.
So I'm very proud of her. I'm like so excited. Every time I hear her talk, I get so excited.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
agree. She's so real,
Yeah,
like I
she's
feel like
so real.
she feels like someone you could just sit down and talk to who
Mhm.
understands what is actually plaguing Americans, the things that we
Mhm.
actually care about. And she doesn't dumb it down, but she also isn't trying to make it sound so, what's the word, pretentious that it's
Right, yeah.
inaccessible.
Mhm.
So yeah, I do really like Jasmine Crockett. So
Yes.
thank you for that comment. Thank you for all
Mhm.
of the comments. As always, we love hearing from you guys. We're
We
happy you
do.
enjoyed that episode. And now let's get into some updates.
Let's do it.
I think you know what? I was going to say let's start with Blake Lively, but let's not. Let's start with let's start with Amanda Seales. So I
Yeah.
don't know if you saw this on our socials, but
Uh-huh.
a lot of people were upset with us for saying that she's from LA.
Oh, really? But isn't
Ye-
she?
Yes, she was. She was born in LA. Like
Okay.
she was born in LA. She was born in Inglewood.
Oh, wow.
However,
That's LA.
right. Shortly after like being born there, her family
Mhm.
moved to Orlando. So a lot of
Oh.
people in our comments were like, she's not from LA,
Oh,
she's
the
from
Florida
Orlando.
people got pissed.
The Florida people got upset. So I would
Okay.
just like to acknowledge I do realize she was not raised in LA.
Mhm.
However, what we said was she was from LA,
Mhm.
and and that is accurate. She was born there.
Okay.
Okay,
Well,
so.
so she was raised in Disney World. That's gonna make
but
people mad at
but
me.
I saw your comment, so I just wanted
Mm.
to say that. And then the other thing is,
Mhm.
I don't know if you heard this update, but Amanda got on her YouTube channel
Mhm.
and gave unprompted, unsolicited, no one asked her to do this,
Did she hear
gave
us?
No. Oh, well, maybe she saw the episode and was like, you know what? Since people are talking about this, she got on her YouTube and basically clarified why she no longer speaks to Issa Rae at all any longer.
Oh, I missed this. She has got her
Yes.
Google notifications on. She saw our podcast. Okay, tell me all about it.
Okay. This is the synopsis. I would play it, but honestly, you know, she can talk and talk and talk. Okay,
Yeah,
so let me give you the headline.
Okay.
The headline is this: we get to season 5 of Insecure, which is the final season. So by this point, all of the stuff with the publicist and the party, that would have happened multiple seasons prior.
Okay.
So they've moved past that, at least to the extent that she and Issa are talking to each other. They're not besties, it doesn't sound like, but they're talking. Okay, she says they're on set one day, and this is again within season 5, and Issa Rae is reading a review about a TV show that had just come out. And I think most of the cast like kind of knew some of the people in the TV show. So she was actually reading it out loud, and everybody was sort of like, you know, listening and commenting about it or whatever. She finishes reading, and Amanda asks her, oh, but what about so-and-so? Did they mention so-and-so? And Issa responds, why don't you read it yourself? And so Amanda said,
shit, that's fighting
that
words.
was it for her. She said she has not spoken to Issa Rae since then. Like, she was like, and the way she phrased it was, you are not going to disrespect me because 1, I'm your employee. 2, I'm your elder.
Stop, that's so funny. Their age difference is not that much, right?
No, it is not. So yeah,
she is really funny.
She is actually quite hilarious, but a lot of people took that as sort of like the commentary that I saw from people was like, see, Amanda, this is why you don't have a career in Hollywood anymore. Because you're just difficult for no reason. Like, that shouldn't have been, most people's take is like, that shouldn't have been the straw that broke the camel's back, because Issa kept you on the show for 5 seasons when she didn't have to do that. Like, and even if she answered snarkily and was really snappy or whatever, at the end of the day, like, as you pointed out, she is your boss.
Right.
So sometimes bosses are snippy with people, like whether you are older than them or not.
No, that's so hilarious.
And so I think a lot of people were just like, girl. And the fact that she told this story unprompted, like, it's not as if she was in an interview. She just was on her YouTube and wanting to tell the story. A lot of people just were like, yeah, okay, girl, see, you are difficult, and that's why you have this reputation.
I'm gonna steal that. I'm using that. That's hilarious.
I'm your elder.
Yes, I'm using that. That's so funny. I'm like, when I'm fighting with my brother, who's like 2 years younger than me, I'm gonna be like, shut up, I'm your elder.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know. As we said in the episode, and I still stand by this, I think both of them have contributed positively to Hollywood and contributed positively to Black Hollywood. And even though there are people who say like, oh, she doesn't have a career anymore, she does now have a career as a creator. Her YouTube is still thriving. She's still out here creating content. And so maybe she's had to go about it in a different way, but don't forget, that's how Issa got started. She got started making her own lane on YouTube as well. So
yeah,
I don't know. I think I'm not in the camp of like, oh, Amanda's terrible or whatever, but does it seem like, yes, she probably is difficult? Yes, it does.
Yeah, it sometimes does seem like she does cause some problems for sure.
Yes, it does. And you know what? Look, she's figured out how to make her own lane with the people that she does work well with, which might just be herself. And if that's what it is,
she's self-employed, and she's gonna keep being self-employed.
And there is nothing wrong with that. I'll tell you what,
I am.
Right. That is one of my favorite parts about being a content creator is that I am my own boss and I am my only employee. And I love it.
I know. I love it too. 10 out of 10. No notes.
10 out of 10. So if that is what works for Amanda, then go ahead, girl. Go on with it. Okay, now let's get to Blake Lively. Now, first of all,
right.
Have you seen this Forbes interview that has been circulating?
Okay, is it the one where she's like, I just take over the movies because like I need to have authorship, and like I saw people being like, wow, he should have really looked at this before he hired her.
Yeah,
and also she was on a podcast like saying that he's like his life is in shambles or something. Did you see that? I'm
I did.
paraphrasing. That's not exactly what he said.
Yeah, I did see that I saw that he had filmed an episode of a podcast and it
Mhm.
had filmed in November of last year.
Oh,
And, you know,
okay.
she dropped her suit in December.
Okay,
So
yeah, yeah.
he wasn't yet aware, I guess, of the suit or anything.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah, the clip I saw did make it seem like he
Yeah, he
was
said like this is the toughest year of my
struggling.
life, and I've been very upset, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I didn't actually go and watch that podcast,
Yeah,
but I
I don't
do.
listen to male podcasts. I'm so sorry.
I do want us to listen to Blake Lively's little interview. There's
Mhm.
just a clip. It's not that long.
Okay,
I'm
let's
gonna
do it.
play it here. Ugh. Oh, it's like we just like cannot escape this Blake
No,
Lively
like
nonsense.
literally.
Okay, so the context is just for our listeners. She is doing a one-on-one fireside chat at a Forbes. It's like a Forbes conference, and
Okay.
you'll hear the interviewer ask her a question about essentially like how she makes her own lane or whatever in Hollywood. So that's what we are going to hear.
If people are one of the critical drivers of how you choose projects, you're someone who has no shortage of opportunities that come to you. And I think all of us, in terms of those time constraints, are trying to balance the demands of different priorities or different directions that we think we should take. How do you know when there's a force that is pulling you in a direction that you should follow versus one that may distract you?
I mean, I think I've just done it enough. You know, you learn to sort of, when I was younger in my life and career, I would sort of shape myself to the version of myself that I thought that they wanted. Or when I would show up on a set, I knew that they just wanted me to show up and look cute and stand on a little pink sticker where I'm supposed to go and say what I'm supposed to say. But I also knew that like that wasn't fulfilling for me, that I wanted to be a part of the storytelling, that I wanted to be a part of the narrative, whether that be in the writing, in the costume design, in creating the character. And sometimes I had directors or producers or writers who would welcome that and invite that once they saw that I was able to offer that. And sometimes I would have people who really resented that because they were like, we just hired you to be an actor. Yet when I went in the meetings, I would just seem like I'm just there to be the actor and ready to get the gig. I wouldn't reveal that I actually need to have authorship in order to feel fulfilled. So I think that for them, sometimes that might have felt like a rug pull because you're like, you're trying to assert yourself into something that we didn't hire you to do. And so it was a really strange position to be in because I felt like I don't want to just like be an actor. Like I want to have more authorship. So I think that it's about, you know, knowing what I want and what I need and representing that from the outset. And if people are into that and want to collaborate with me for all I feel like I need to offer and bring to a job, then those are the people I should collaborate with. And if I see that it's people who are, whether this is in business or acting or whatever it is, where it's people who I can see that feels like that's stepping on their territory, that's not going to ultimately be a fulfilling relationship for either one of us. So I think it's about being upfront about like knowing what you actually need versus just like trying to get the job. And then, you know, once you're in it, sort of revealing the scope of your sort of needs to be, you know, fulfilled.
That was painful.
Now,
I'm
okay,
sorry.
say more. Why do you say that's painful? Because I think we might have different takes here on this one. But
Okay.
tell me your
Okay.
take.
First, I have two takes about it. The first part of it is, it sounds like in the past she has ambushed people on on her authorship that she wants, right? Like she's going in and presenting herself, according to her, she's going in and presenting herself as if she's just going to be an actress, and then boom, once she's hired, she's like, psych, I want to rewrite the scenes. Okay,
Right.
that's how I'm hearing it. But then it also sounds like she learned from that and possibly does not do that anymore.
Right.
And now right off the bat, she says, I will not act in this unless I have ownership and can, you know, change things, go back and forth, whatever, be collaborative. Right? And is that what I'm hearing? So I'm thinking it didn't happen with Justin, but like it's happened in the past. And I don't love that.
See, yes, so I think you're hearing that correctly. That's what I heard too. Now, who knows if that's true, but it sounds like what she's saying is once upon a time, I used to come in, agree to be just an actor, but then get on set and start asserting myself into other areas.
Yeah.
And now what I've learned, because the question the interviewer asked was, how do you decide basically like what projects to prioritize, what projects to lean into? And so it sounds like she's saying, now the way I decide is, will these people want me to be not just an actor, but also, you know, a producer? Will they want my feedback on storytelling, on costume design, or whatever? If the answer is yes, if I sense that they are willing to let me have more creative control, that's a project I'm interested in. If the answer is no, then that's not a project that makes sense for me, right?
Yeah.
So at least according to her, it is a lesson that she's learned, and now is kind of a filter through which she evaluates projects. And the thing is, my take is, I feel like all of the takes that I'm seeing about this interview, they're not listening to part 2. They're only listening to part 1, where
100%.
she says like, I need authorship, and I would go in and pretend that I'm just going to be an actress. Like, yes, she did say that. But in part 2, she said she doesn't do that anymore.
Yeah. It's like it happened before, but it didn't happen with him.
Well, and that's the thing. If you look at this is the thing. If you look at, people feel like this is such a smoking gun. And again,
And it's not.
as we spoke about on our bonus episode, this is not a smoking gun, because if you look at all of the exchanges between these two as it related to her creative control and creative power, not all the things he was saying behind her back to all the other editors where it was clear he didn't like what she was doing.
Right.
The messages from him to her were, you're so brilliant. I love your script. I'm so excited to work with you. I'm so sorry other producers did this, made you feel like your contributions didn't matter. It was extremely collaborative. Every single message between them, which, if you're Blake, as she said in this interview, she said, I only want to take on projects where I'm going to be given more creative control. And she clearly went into that movie set believing Justin wants to give me more creative control. And every message that we see between the two of them confirms that. And so this is not the smoking gun that I think people think it is.
I 100% agree, because also people are thinking that this timeline that the lawyer put out and that website with all the receipts is some sort of smoking gun as well. And all I see when I read all the text messages is that he was telling her, great job, you're doing amazing, encouraging her even to go and dive deeper and write more and collaborate more. Oh, bring me anything you want, and I'll look at it. In the same turn, behind her back, he's talking with people being like, we got to stop this. This is a terrible idea and we need to halt it right now. And they delayed the telling her part until almost the very end. And then you can see the shift once she knows that they're not down with her authorship anymore. You can see the shift in the dynamic of their relationship. He shouldn't have kept telling her how awesome she was doing if he didn't feel that way.
And that is the thing that I think it gets back to some of what we spoke about on the bonus episode. It feels like there are two different cases happening in parallel here.
Totally.
Right? It feels like she's suing for sexual harassment and retaliation, but he's suing basically to prove that she took over the movie in a way that he didn't want her to. And it's like, okay, but that could be true. To be very clear, it could be true that she took over the movie and you did not want her to. That does not negate what she has alleged. It just quite simply doesn't. We're talking about two completely different things. And so again, when people are pointing to this interview like it's the smoking gun, first of all, it's not. Second of all, she says she's learned and that's not her approach anymore. And even if it were still her approach, that would just prove that she went in there and took over the movie. Okay, but it does not disprove any of the sexual allegation or retaliation claims. So it's like, again, I feel like I'm being gaslit by half of America when people talk about this case.
It's actually so annoying because people are constantly trying to change my mind because they know what my opinion is because I've put it out on the internet. And they're sending me these things being like, now you're going to change your mind. And I'm like, no, this made it worse. I read all these text messages and all I'm thinking to myself is he changed his mind on letting her edit scenes. And then he felt awkward telling her because now he's like built this friendship with her and her husband, and so has his wife. And so he felt like an asshole being like, hey, by the way, I don't want you to do that shit anymore. And for all we know, it was written in her contract that she could, because it sounds like that's what she started doing.
Well, yeah. And I feel like I don't know that I have a strong opinion on whether or not sexual harassment did occur. And I don't
Yeah.
know that I have a strong opinion on whether or not she took over the movie in a way that she wasn't supposed to, or defamed him or whatever. I don't know if I have a strong opinion on either of those things, but what I do feel strongly is, one, it does not seem like he did a very good job at being a boss on that
Right.
set.
100%.
It seems like
He's wanted to be friends.
He wanted to be friends, and
Yeah.
she's super famous, and her husband's super famous, and her best friend's super famous, and he was intimidated. And so even though he didn't want her to be as involved as she was, he never communicated that. By the time he finally communicated it, which was
Way
to
too
say,
late.
it was too
It was
late.
way too late.
It was too late, sir. And I can understand you being frustrated by that. But as far as I know, that's not against the law. Okay.
No.
So
Yeah.
it's that, to me, is the one thing I feel very clear about him not being a very good boss on that set, because he could not assert what he actually wanted to happen in a way that was clear. And the second thing that I feel clear about is that most of what he has submitted, both in the timeline and just about everything else, most of it does not actually negate her allegations.
Yeah.
Those are
my
the two things
thing.
I feel most certain about.
I agree too. And the two things you said you're uncertain about, I am as well, because there's no evidence other than the evidence that she provided to say, you know, Sony agreed with me. We signed this. They agreed to not do this anymore. That is the only evidence I have seen so far that says whether or not she was like sexually harassed. And he's provided nothing. Absolutely nothing to negate it. I'm like, I don't understand. Am I missing something? Because I feel gaslit too. I'm like, what am I missing?
Yeah, he's presented all sorts of stuff around it, but nothing actually that gets directly to it. And that, to me, I don't know. Like I said, it's not that I've made up my mind. It's more that it's very confusing to me that people are acting like this case is done and dusted.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's been like we've seen all the evidence. We know what we know. It's already been decided. I'm like,
I know.
Not as far as I can see.
I can't wait for it to go to court, kind of, but it's a long ways out.
It's a long ways out, and I'm still skeptical that
it even will
get to court.
Yeah, I know. I think it's going to settle.
I'm very skeptical about that, but you know, we'll see. Anyway, I hope we don't get dragged too hard for that.
We will. We will. They hate that topic.
Well, let's move on to happier topics. Well, a little bit, and talk about the Super Bowl.
Yes, I love to talk about the Super Bowl.
First of all, yes, go Birds. I was so happy that Philadelphia won, but I have to say that halftime performance was
amazing.
So good.
So good.
Loved every minute. I was like on the edge of my seat. I got out of my seat. I was sitting in a chair. I was at a friend's house party. I was sitting in a chair, and I wanted to get closer to the TV, so I got out and like got on the floor right up to the TV, because I was like, no, I need to be closer. I need to be
screaming. My husband's like, you know all these songs? I'm like, every single one of these songs. I wasn't even about the music for me. It was like all this. I was like nerding out, because just like I deep dive into Taylor Swift songs, I was like, oh my God, there's so much symbolism. Oh my God, did you see that? Did you see this? I was like freaking out about it.
I agree. So much symbolism happening on stage. The red, white, and blue forming the flag, and then the flag kind of being like split in the center with him in the center of it. Samuel L. Jackson as Uncle Sam, and kind of being like the voice of America, being like, tighten up, or like, this is too hood, this is too ratchet. Like, okay, now I like this better, as long as you don't mess up the end. And then he does not like us, and he's like, oh, damn, you know, basically. But like, I thought that was so smart, and having him not only play the narrator, but literally the role of like America.
I know.
I thought having like where he got up on stage and said like, the revolution's about to be televised. You picked the right time, but the wrong guy.
Yes.
That to me felt so layered, because it's like, I felt like he was basically saying, I feel like there are a lot of different ways you could interpret that.
Yes.
One of which could be like, you picked the wrong guys and picking Trump.
Right.
But another could be like, you picked the wrong guy and picking me to come to the Super Bowl, because I'm about to actually tell you a bunch of stuff you don't want to hear, but you need to hear.
Right. But here's the thing, because I was shocked that they let a lot of it like happen. And because I know there's so much review that goes into when they're doing a Super Bowl performance. And they allegedly took the little thing off the field that said end racism.
I saw that
because the president was coming, and they changed it to like choose love, I think. So I was thinking, there's no way they're going to allow anything like remotely political that man would be angry about, right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of it just went over their fucking heads. I think they
100,000%.
just don't understand metaphors and symbolism. I truly believe that.
I completely agree. I think that's also why you saw so many Trump supporters being like, I don't like it. It's because you didn't get it.
Yeah, you didn't get it.
You didn't understand it. And
so many people in my comment section, because I did a whole breakdown of all the symbolism, or what I perceived as the symbolism, right? Because it really is subjective to you and your experiences and whatever.
Totally.
I had people in there saying, "You are wrong, you idiot. It's all about Drake." I'm like, it's
the
not.
whole thing, the whole 13 minutes. Come on.
Oh, they put him in an Uncle Sam costume because of Drake. Get out of here. Like, what are you guys talking? Use your brains. What do you mean? Read a book. I was getting so mad. Read a book.
Read a book. The entire American flag theme was because of Drake. No.
Yeah, like, get real.
I mean, at one point, he literally said 40 acres and a mule. This is bigger than the music.
And do you know the Google search for that shot up?
Shot up.
Because people didn't
y'all
know.
Don't read.
Because you guys didn't pay attention to U.S. history.
Y'all don't read, and it shows, okay? Kendrick was like, and that's one thing about Kendrick, too, with his music and his albums. You are going to need to pull up a Wikipedia. You're going to need to pull up a dictionary. You're going to need to do the reading if you really want to participate when it comes to Kendrick Lamar, and I appreciate that, because what he's not going to do is dumb it down for you.
Right? Okay, so then people are like, you're missing symbolism and blah, 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 which, okay, great, I appreciate. I'll dig even deeper. I don't care. I'm a nerd. So everyone's like, you got to look more into the car. So now I'm like researching everything about the Grand National. I'm like on there looking everything up. Come to find out, there's only 547 of them made. And guess what? 547 is the area code for Ontario, Canada. What? Are you kidding me? It was like, I felt like I was Swiftie all over again. I'm like looking for hidden 13s.
That's amazing. No, I did not know that.
Crazy.
I did not know that.
I can't get over
will
it.
say, I don't listen to a lot of rap music. Usually the rap music I listen to is confined to the hits. So like I'd heard Not Like Us a bunch of times, but I had never gone and listened to his latest album, the GNX album. So I was like, last night, I was like, let me just go ahead and listen to this little album. Oh my God, it's amazing.
It's so good. I did this thing yesterday.
So good.
So good.
Was blown away. I might even do a review, even though I don't think I'm the right person to review rap music. Like I don't get it enough.
I'm definitely not going to go there. So that's just not for me.
It is so good. And that performance, I've watched it so many times. Not only have I gone back and watched the performance so many times, but I have watched every single reaction video that comes across my screen because I love watching people's reactions.
Me too.
When Serena comes on stage, everybody had the same reaction, like,
yes.
Oh my God.
I did too, because I was like, is that Serena? And then like they cut away so fast and I was like, oh, maybe it was just a girl who looked like her, you know? But then I found out it was actually her. I was like, are you kidding me? This is so iconic. I love it.
The moment she came on my screen, I knew, the whole house I was with knew. And when I tell you, I jumped up, everybody jumped up out their seat. Like it was just
so exciting.
Such a big moment. Like, oh my God, because I mean, I'm sure our listeners know, but Serena dated Drake. So this was very much, and she's from Compton, which is where Kendrick is from. Right. So it's like kind of double meaning there.
Did the crip walk at the tennis match with the U.S. Open, I think it was, right? Got in trouble, got a fine. I think it was like $82,000.
Yeah, exactly.
All of it. Amazing.
All of it.
10 out of 10. No notes.
No notes. It was perfect. And I just found out before we started recording, it was the most watched Super Bowl halftime show of all time.
After it ended, the viewership dropped significantly.
Yeah.
Which I was like,
it had far more viewers than the Super Bowl. I think the Super Bowl had like 100 million. His halftime show had 135 million. So
it's amazing. I was so excited about it.
It was so good. Oh, I loved every minute.
Which isn't Jay-Z in charge of setting up the Super Bowl, right? All the halftime portion of it, right? Keep him. Yeah, he's doing all the right things. He's doing all. Right. He's showing everything I want to see. Okay,
he's doing it right.
Keep it up.
I completely agree. And I guess I'll put this next part in the parking lot. We can go ahead and move on to the parking lot because I want to end the updates on a high note, and the Super Bowl was very, very high note. But for the parking lot, I will say this. Now, I posted about Travis Kelce and how he said it would be an honor to play for Trump. And basically I said how I didn't like that. And then I came back after the Super Bowl and posted again, basically to say how embarrassing it is because Trump doubled down after the Super Bowl.
And dissed her again.
And dissed Taylor Swift again. He had already dissed her once, and you got in front of that microphone talking about it's an honor to play for him. And then he got back online and dissed her again after the game was over. The game you lost. And I said, that's embarrassing. Couldn't be me. And not only are there just so many people in my comments mad about it, but I've made a follow-up video because there are so many people in my comments talking about he had to do that to protect Taylor. And that take is just, so whack to me. It is so whack to me. And I made another video commenting that. And that's why I'll put it in the parking lot, because obviously Taylor is one of the queens we refer to quite often on this show. And it's almost like people love to infantilize her, first of all. Okay?
Yeah, they do.
Taylor Swift is a grown woman with very robust security.
Yeah.
Who while she was on tour, endorsed Kamala Harris full-throatedly. Okay? So this woman is not afraid of Trump. No. And I think continuing to try to put that narrative out there that he did it in order to protect her as if she's some like child baby who can't take care of herself.
No,
I don't like that.
I have a different take. I think he did it to placate the people who own the Chiefs.
100%.
That's what I think he did it for. I think he didn't want to piss off the owner of the Chiefs.
Exactly.
I think they were all ordered to act that way. Now, I say ordered. I think they were all told to speak a certain way in those interviews as to not piss him off. I got a lot to say about this. First of all, I have a very strict policy that's like, when I've been drinking, I don't post. I don't post videos, and I don't post on like Twitter or whatever, right? On socials. I constructed a post after drinking at the Super Bowl that was a photo of the tweet that Trump put out after he left the Super Bowl about Taylor Swift getting booed. And then I put, Travis Kelce, does it still feel like a fucking honor that he was there to watch you play? But then I took it down because I have a strict policy. And it was like, oh, it was so sloppily written. And I was like, I got to take this down because I don't have the wherewithal to post this right now. But I just need everyone to know that is how I feel about it.
Yes.
I should put it back up. But yeah, I knew from the moment I heard that orange man say, Patrick Mahomes is the best. He's a winner. He always is winning, and he's a winner. I immediately went on to the little quiz I do with my friends for Super Bowl, and I bet on the Eagles because I was like, "That's a jinx." And I know what a jinx looks like, and that right there was a jinx. I know what side I'm going to stand on. It's going to be whichever one is opposite of that guy.
Right. So yes, agree with all of that, and in terms of what Travis's motivations were, because a lot of people are saying this too. Yes, I think he was trying to placate and appease the owners of the Chiefs. Absolutely. I also think he was trying to placate like the press, like say something, he thought from a PR perspective, it would be better to say it's an 100%. Honor to play for any president. But here's my problem with that. That is still a choice. And I feel like the people in my comments trying to act like it's not a choice, that is what I wholeheartedly disagree with. Because at the end of the day, even if the owners of the Chiefs said, y'all are forbidden from talking shit about Trump. Okay, there are a million ways you can answer that question without talking shit about Trump.
100%.
But also without praising him and saying it would be an honor.
Without saying it be an honor. Like, you could literally have just been like, oh, that's great. I love when people come and watch us play.
You could say, I'm going to be focused on the game. You could say, it doesn't change what I'm there to do.
100%.
You could say, he's like Jalen said, well, he's free to do whatever he wants to do,
Yeah,
but I'm going to be focused on the game.
ever.
Literally, or you could say, no comment. I haven't really thought about it. There are a million things you could say that would not be disrespectful, but also would not say it's an honor to play for him. And in fact, his words were, "That's awesome. It's an honor." Those were his words. Okay. So that's number one. You could have said something like that.
I hate it.
Okay. But number two, he also could have still disrespected Trump, because what were the owners going to do? At most, fine you. Are they going to take him out the game? Absolutely not.
No.
Are they going to fire him the day before the Super Bowl? Absolutely
No.
not. So let's be clear.
No.
He made a choice. And if you think it's a perfectly fine choice, given who the owners are, that's okay too. But don't try and make it seem like it wasn't a choice, or like he had to do it to protect Taylor.
Yeah, like what is that? No, everything that orange man touches crumbles. And I've watched those men play football for the entire season. That was the worst loss ever. That was so painful to watch.
So painful.
Oh my God. And you just can't convince me that just wasn't a full jinx. It was like witchcraft. I can't.
Ooh, yeah. Ugh, it was yikes on bikes. And so I just want to put that there. It's not that I think other people have basically taken it to the point where they're like, they hate Travis Kelce.
Yeah, which I don't hate him.
I don't hate Travis Kelce. I've never really felt much of anything for Travis Kelce.
Yeah, same.
I'm a fan of Taylor. Okay. And as I have said many times on many different platforms, I do not tether myself to the people in her life. Okay?
I know.
I'm not, that is not me.
A Trump supporter. Like, people in my comment section were saying like, oh, and all of you guys are saying that he's a Trump supporter and he got the COVID vaccine. He was in the COVID commercial. I'm like, first of all, I never said he was a Trump supporter.
I never said he was a Trump supporter.
I don't think he is, by the way. I just think he could have chose way better words. And I think to walk home in your little glittery blouse after a loss like that, and then have that man still diss your girl, and you didn't even stand up, is going to be probably like the saddest moment in your relationship. Sorry.
Not glittery blouse.
What the fuck? He was wearing the glittery. I just know it was painful to put that blouse back on after that loss and walk out there in that blouse.
I know.
You should have brought a change of clothes.
Yeah, I wish he had brought a change of clothes. I really do. Because walking home in glitter after you lose that Super Bowl is
no.
Oh no.
And everyone hit him hard with comments after Trump tweeted about it.
Yes.
Everybody was like, is it still an honor? So they must have went home and been like defeated.
Oh man, and I don't want that for her.
You know what I mean?
I don't. It's like I think that's the other thing. People are assuming like I'm anti Travis Kelce. I'm not anti Travis Kelce. Okay, I truly don't care very much about that man.
Yeah,
I just want to be very clear. He made a choice. I think it was a bad choice.
Yeah.
I think y'all try and infantilize Taylor too much.
Yeah.
She is grown, and I think any grown woman would appreciate if their grown boyfriend would defend her, at the very least, not praise somebody who dissed her. I think anybody would appreciate that.
I would have been legitimately mad after that press conference. Like, and that's just me. Like, I'm sure she might be a different person. Maybe she's more mature than me. But he would have left that interview and it would have been all over the internet. And I would have been like, well, you really didn't have to say it was an honor. You didn't have, I would have started a fight.
You really did not have to say that.
You didn't have to say that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm guessing if someone said Trump was going to show up to a Taylor Swift concert and someone asked Taylor, how do you feel about Trump coming? I don't think she would respond, it's an honor.
No.
That's my guess. I don't know.
I know. I agree. It's my guess too. That's my guess too. And that's it for this week, everyone. Be sure to follow us on TikTok at 2 Queens, 2 Crowns, and to check out the podcast on YouTube, 2 Queens, 2 Crowns.
Erica and I would also love for you to follow us on our personal socials. I'm on TikTok at Iam_KJ Miller, and YouTube with the handle IamKJ Miller. And Erica's on IG at LetABeKnow and TikTok at LetABitchKnow. We'll see you next week.
Bye.